I met a campaigner on human rights who introduced me about citizen journalism. At the time, I did not really quite understand why it was so important to have independent voices who tell their story or who deliver messages from people. I think it's so clear today why that transition from relying on mainstream media has moved to more independent voices. I think looking at global politics, it is very clear that there are narratives that tend to portray topics and issues in the wrong light. So it is needed that we start to have independent content creators who deliver a unique message and perhaps even new theme and stories. For me, my citizen journalism started when we were covering the awful events of the African Great Lakes. This was a time when there was a lot of violence between African states in what was known as the First African World War. This, of course, was as a result of the events of 1994 genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda and the coup in Burundi in October and the genocide of Tutsis that ensued in October 1993. But of course, with time, when I met different journalists who focus on history, journalism, and culture and travel, I became a bit curious to know what is it that tied them to that interest in travel and history and culture. It is at this point that I embarked on doing research, my own family history, but also the culture and the history, which I was not very much aware about in terms of the different details that we missed in schools and history class. Of course, after a couple of years of posting on different mediums, starting on my own blog in 2002, 2003, 2004, moving to a network of bloggers from across Africa through an online magazine known as The African Path, I became quite aware that there were indeed a lot of topics that we did not cover. With my 2019 research on family history, it broadened my interest in terms of what we needed to really cover. I think if you go back for the last 3 decades, it's been mainly media reporting on conflicts and the effects of the cycles of conflict and genocide in the African Great Lakes. But my interest from 2019 switched to culture and history, something I'm very, very passionate about. And it is not only a way of self-discovery, but it is also a way of communicating our own history and culture to those who were, whose ancestors were taken away from the motherland continent. So I take this opportunity as well to thank the government of Ghana for the vote at the UN to recognize the slave trade as a crime against humanity. I thank also all other states who voted in favor of this UN motion that pay tribute to our families who were affected by the slave trade, both the Arab and the transatlantic slave trade. Now it's so important that we start to do our own journey of healing and healing those who were taken away from us. It's so important that we connect them to the cultures of their ancestors. And I pay tribute once again for Ghana's initiative of Year of Return that has seen many return to Ghana to, first of all, see the journeys of the ancestors, but to also reconnect with the people. I think what we ought to do in decades to come is to reconnect as the people of the motherland continent and those who are born outside the motherland continent, and promote culture, history, and education in our schools, in our community projects, but also ensure that those who are born outside the African continent are given a voice on the African continent. And it's so important that is included as a way of reparation. For me, I look more towards the time when we can start to actually build our countries and our continents, and reflect indeed on the past, on a very painful past, but focus on what can be achieved today and a legacy to be left for future generations. I enjoy doing what I do in vlogs, in writing articles, in making music, which was a passion of my youth. And I hope that I'll be able to visit all the places where we traced family. If we miss this opportunity to rewrite our own history, future generations will be just as confused as we were in our youth, because people from outside the continent defined who we are as a people, and it still affects us today. But I think that the richness and cultural diversity we have in our stories can hopefully inspire us to keep writing, to be the next storyteller, to be the next music producer, the next filmmaker. Let's rewrite our history.